What's going on in Batman?
Mr. Bloom
Mr.
has returned, and he is a sadistic, murderous MFer. He is not playing around, and he takes over an entire party filled with Gotham Mucky Mucks and starts slicing and dicing them.
The finest of the finest.
Yes.
The upper class.
Bruce has asked his super hot, tattooed, red-haired girlfriend to marry him, and they have shower sex.
They have implied shower sex.
Oh, she steps into the shower. He's got the men. You know
and
what?
he pulls the towel off.
He's still ripped too. You know, like if Bruce has like not got his memory, he's no longer Batman. Does he just still remember to lift every day?
Oh, he's got the physique.
Yes.
He never lost the
physique. He's still ripped.
I like it. I like how they're exploring Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Because I was actually in the interview that's actually on our website. Scott Snyder was talking about how he's like introducing how like Batman, that was a resurrection for him. So it was almost like there was a third. So it was almost like there was a third bullet on the alley, like a phantom bullet he's talking about, and that bullet kind of was the trajectory that caused him to be Batman.
Yeah.
But what if he had never taken that so-called quote-unquote phantom bullet?
Yes.
So they're kind of exploring that kind of realm of his personality, I'd say, or aspect of his personality, and I like it. He's got a beard. He's not a billionaire anymore. He doesn't remember anything.
He's a regular guy.
He's just a regular dude.
He'd be working at the docks at UPS.
He could be. He could be. But he's like volunteering at some
What is he
kids.
doing? Is he volunteering?
He's volunteering at the kids' home.
Ah, that's right.
He's like working at some kids' club or something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
he's still the philanthropist.
He's got the Wayne Foundation, but I don't think he's quite
still
the
the humanist.
Yeah, and
Humanitarian.
they really introduced Bloom in that series, and
man.
actually it's all about. They also introduced a lot of bat suits because they talk about Jim Gordon.
They talked about Jim Gordon and the fact there are a lot of bat suits because there were a lot of different prototypes, and they had this idea that they were going to expand the Batman program to different cities and gear those suits and of course their operators to whatever respective needs the city had.
Right.
And so you're looking at this fleet of Batman
Well, I
suits.
thought that was pretty cool. It was like so many of them.
Yes, it was like, you know what it reminded me of course, it was Iron Man, the house party
right.
to see Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
that's what
I didn't like that movie, but yeah.
I liked it okay. You know who that was some the screenwriter was the same guy who wrote Predator. Shane Black.
Was it really?
Yes, and Lethal Weapon.
I should probably give that one another shot.
Okay, now Shane Black did not write Predator. He helped fix the script for Predator, but they couldn't give him screen credit because they'd already, they'd already done the budget.
Right.
So he's in the movie Predator briefly. He's one of
That's
Schwarzenegger's crew. One of Schwarzenegger's crew.
He's the one who's like talking about his lady or something
yes.
like that?
No, not the. He's the one.
He's trying to tell that dirty joke.
He's the one with the glasses who says, "Please, please," and then it takes him out and she gets sprayed with blood.
Right.
That's Shane Black.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the device of Shane Black.
Okay.
And they couldn't give him credit on the movie, so they gave him a part, and that's how they got his name on the movie.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he helped fix the script for Predator.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Kind of strange.
It's like, well, we gotta give you the credit. We're gonna put you in the movie.
Yeah.
You
But
wanna do the
anyway,
movie?
yeah, that's what that reminded me of. And Batman, he's doing this two-man thing where he'll go in as Batman, and then he makes a call for the suit.
Calls it the Rookie.
Calls it the Rookie, and it operates on his like remote operational feed. However, that can be a problem.
Because that can be hijacked. And actually, in the beginning, they Mr. Bloom is attacking it, and remember they magnetized something.
Yeah, they magnetized the drop ship, the big drop ship, one of its engines. They magnetized it.
And he got sucked up, and so
they think they got him, but then he gets away.
Because he's slippery, man. It's because it's still not really. You still don't really know the extent of this man's powers. Because in the beginning of the comic, he's like shooting his little weed fingers through people's eyes and brains, and he's just killing people.
The seeds that he uses, they've established that the seeds that he uses have an electromagnetic pulse associated with them. That's how they were able to reverse magnetize the base engines for their dropship and try to hold him prisoner briefly. They thought they had him, but he gets away.
But I mean, I really like what they're doing with that series, and honestly, like a lot of people don't like how Jim Gordon's Batman. And I like it only because it kind of gives Bruce Wayne, it kind of gives us time to, like I was saying a minute ago, to kind of explore the psyche of Bruce Wayne himself.
Yes, and what he would do if he had never been, had never lost his parents or never really decided to become Batman.
Right.
And this is the life he might have lived. The funny thing about it, though, is that all of that, what the public wants, what readers want in terms of whether we see Gordon as Batman or whether we are interested really in the psyche of Bruce Wayne as not being Batman is all kind of an underlying truth to it, and the truth is, in my opinion, is that we want him back. We like Gordon. We like Gordon as Batman. He's fine to kind of what would you call that, custodian of the position.
Right.
Until Batman gets his shit back.
Interim
and
Batman.
and that's he's the interim Batman. We accept that. We're okay with it. We don't want him to get hurt, but we know that he's not really the guy. And we're all kind of happy to see see Bruce having this great relationship with this hot redhead and her tattooed butt and all that. She's got a tramp stamp.
Right.
And
she actually showed up in Batman Year One.
And she's really smart, and she's definitely got. She's the kind of woman that Bruce would fall in love with, and that's what makes it so much harder. Because we do want him back, and we know that the minute that happens, that relationship is over. Because Batman cannot have relationships.
Which kind of brings me to my next point about that. Like, how, again, this is kind of a good transition, actually. Is like, how does the whole Bat-God thing fall into what's going on in Batman if he's got amnesia?
That's a good question. That's a good question because there's some going on in the Batman, in the Justice League universe. It's called the Dark Side War.
So good.
It's really good.
We kind of touched on this. We actually touched on this in the last podcast,
yes.
but we had not read it yet. But now we read it.
We
so
both read it,
want
and
to talk about it.
It's really amazing. And also the latest one, we'll get into that at the end of it. But Batman has sat down in a device called the Mobius chair.
Mobius chair.
The Mobius chair grants the person who's sitting in it a vast amount of knowledge, almost infinite knowledge.
Infinite knowledge. He's almost omnipotent.
Makes you godlike in a way. He's kind of like Dr. Manhattan in the sense.
But it seems to have its moral limits, you know.
It has its limits, but it only limits the user in how it feels about what they're doing. It doesn't stop them.
Right.
This omnipotent power that he has, he uses it indiscriminately. He has the answer to every question. He knows the identity of the Joker, which has not yet been revealed. He can identify people who are about to commit crimes.
Like a precog.
Like a precog. He's basically a precog. He's going Minority Report on these fools.
He's going Tom Cruise
he
on
does
their
it a
asses,
few times in this latest. Oh my God! He drops these guys into Antarctica. It's hilarious. They're about to go pull a job. They're in a car full with guns.
Right.
And he just kind of appears and tells them what they're about to do.
Right.
And then when they want to draw down on him with their firearms, it goes boom. Everywhere he goes boom.
Right.
There's a big boom every time he takes people places or himself goes someplace in the chair, and bam, they're in Antarctica. And he leaves them there and advises them to use their gunpowder to build a fire and burn the seats of the car.
They literally leaves them in Antarctica. He's like, yo, there's a marine station about 50 miles that way.
Yeah.
And in a couple hours you're running into the ship.
Yeah, the ship is cutting ice in this direction. They're bound to see you.
He's like, you should take all your ammo and jump it in a black acid.
You can't leave us here.
Yes, and he just bounces.
Boom.
And he bounces. And he's Minority Report in their asses.
That's right. And he doesn't.
Not like the failed TV show, like the Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg movie that came out in the early 2000s.
Exactly it. And he does it a few times in this episode. And Gordon, oh yes, he has an interesting meeting with Gordon at the opening of the issue. Gordon's really not okay with this, as he probably wouldn't be.
No,
as a police officer who believes in due process. But yeah.
Well, he's like, it's almost like how can you precog? It was that whole argument with that movie is that like, how can you judge somebody on what they might do?
Here's the interesting thing. The Mobius chair grants its seated person, whoever's sitting in it, it grants them the power that they are most able to access.
Right.
So in Batman's case, because he is the world's greatest detective, he becomes essentially a god of infinite knowledge. When we go to Superman, and I believe the same thing happens to him, he becomes the god of steel. We haven't read that yet, but it's out too.
God of Steel?
God of Steel.
I'll never read that.
It's on the website. It's on the website, and yes, that's an interesting side note. That's Justice League. That's what's going on in Justice League, and I think the best part of that issue is he decides to
confront Joe
Chill.
And he actually, before that, he actually relives the moment where parents die, which I thought was very interesting.
And
he tries to grasp the
stop the bullet,
but he can't.
Yes, and
I thought that was really.
And he catches the pearls with his hand that fall through his ghostly hand.
I thought that was great.
It was really
the art was
really
great.
well illustrated as well.
And I like how he seems almost constricted by the chair at the waist, like he can't get, like he's almost like a man in a wheelchair, he's like almost confined by it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, he's confined by it almost mentally.
Yep, and it hurts him if it doesn't like what he's doing.
Right. And also, he thought the whole thing with Joe Chill YESSSS confronts him. He actually takes off his mask and tells him he's Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
And he says, like, I'm going to spread a rumor in the jails that you created Batman.
Well, Chill is just arrogant in his. He's so arrogant when he talks about the night that he killed.
You want to hate him. You want to hate him
so much.
You don't want to like him in this series. But Joe Chill is really. It was just a kind of a brilliant part. And well, that's what's going on with that. And the only thing I really want to touch on after that is what's going on in Batman and Robin, Eternal, which is with Mother, which still kind of, we talked about in the last couple of issues, the podcast, but it's kind of still the continuation of the Mother storyline. Batman's, or Dick Grayson's getting closer and closer to getting more information and more information. And it's really about kind of mistrust that's kind of been building amongst the brothers, meaning like Jason Todd, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, and Tim Drake.
Yes.
Where like Dick Grayson almost pat jumped.
Red Robin. The last issue that I had read, Red Robin had gotten taken over by Mother.
Yes.
Okay.
He was programmed by Mother.
Yes.
And
because that's the thing. That's the basic theme of this latest storyline. Is that every time we think somebody is safe, they turn up as a Mother.
Well, there's a bunch of sleeper agents. Is the whole thing. In the
yes.
last issue I read, like or like 2 issues ago, they're trying to protect Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne's at like a catering event, and everybody kind of turns against him. They all have butcher knives.
Yes.
And they try to kill Bruce Wayne, and they're like, "How did that happen?" Because they have a bunch of sleeper agents.
And of course, Bruce Wayne doesn't remember that he used to be Batman.
So they activated at any point, and we actually find out that Cassandra Cain is actually trying to protect.
Yes.
She's trying to protect Harper Lee. From whoever the orphan is from killing. We still don't know who the orphan is.
Who looks a lot like a guy from Assassin's Creed.
Exactly. He looks like he looks like.
There's a cross between Assassin's Creed and Moon Knight. Remember Moon Knight?
Yes, Moon Knight's pretty cool. I didn't read too much of him. It's about Moon Knight. He looks like Moon Knight. But we don't really know. He said that he has some tie to Scarecrow that we saw in some backstory, some pre-mission of Dick Grayson, his first introduction with the fear toxin.
Yes.
And we also talk about what was really established in the issue is the kind of the border of trust. And about how like Dick Grayson is kind of like he has like emulated the role of Batman because he's kind of replaced the role of Bruce because Bruce has amnesia, so he kind of had to step into that role.
Yes.
And it talks about how his morality's kind of changed a little bit in the sense that like he has to find out. Tim Drake got programmed, so he has to find out the connection. So as far as they really know in New 52, they don't really know about his parents. Like his parents just like they thought he died or disappeared. They don't really know. Bat family doesn't know anything about Tim Drake's parents, right? Oh. So he has to go. He actually finds out about them, or he finds out some history. He digs around a little bit in the back computer, and he finds out exactly where they are. So he goes and tests it out. So he tries to figure out like this connection between his parents and Mother and orphan and all this thing. And like Tim Drake really sees this as a really kind of a barrier thing, where it's really like kind of like he kind of distinguished their trust. Like he like kind of disintegrated their trust with that. Like he kind of crossed the line with that. But like Dick Grayson like had to find out. But like, and at the end, it's really poignant because Tim Drake's like, well, that's what Bruce would have done, and we expected you to be different from Bruce. So it's kind of like the whole thing about how they always argue Bruce, they expect Dick to be different, but Dick is kind of going to fill that role. But like,
Dick is the prodigal son.
He is. He's really the prodigal son, and they're really kind of building up the storyline. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on in the comic universe. Like, that's a weekly series. It's hard to keep up with, but I'm actually caught up.
So yes, now I have to catch up too because he read them and I didn't.
Well, next week is
exposed.
We don't want to spoil too much about that, but that's kind of what's going on in the Batman comic universe. And as always, we'll move on to Gotham City or Gotham.